Hello, and welcome to Research from 6 Feet Away, Digital Humanities and Archives. This presentation will be provided by myself, Annalise Dowd, the Access Services Librarian here at UNBC. I am also the English and Psychology subject specialist, and I also help to co-teach English 201, Introduction to Digital Humanities.
Hi, I am Sarah Giesbrecht, and I am the project archivist here at the Northern BC Archives and Special Collections at UNBC.
All right, awesome. So I will get us started. First off, to address our title, Research from 6 Feet Away, what exactly are we talking about here? Well, in the humanities and social sciences to a degree, we often think of research as tied to the tangible. So this often includes things like print books, archival materials, and methodologies such as in-person interviews and interaction. Today we'll be discussing research in the humanities that can be done remotely, focusing on free and UNBC-specific resources and tools. All right, so the agenda for the presentation today. First, I will be going over the digital humanities, covering some free and easy to use tools and open digital collections. Then Sarah will go over the holdings of the UNBC Northern BC Archives and Special Collections. The content today is intended very much as a snapshot to spur interest in areas you may have not considered before. So, first off, I'll say that I won't belabor the many definitions of the digital humanities. Within the discipline, the exact definition of DH has been debated since the inception of humanities computing decades ago. Perhaps the best illustration of this is the fact that there is a website called whatisdigitalhumanities.com. This includes over 800 definitions of the field by researchers within or adjacent to digital humanities work. So while definitions vary, I think the clearest and most comprehensive description of the digital humanities is from Amanda Visconti, a librarian, scholar, and digital humanist. Visconti states that DH is research, teaching, and learning about literature, history, and the arts in digital ways. So building and using software, websites, and data sets. And the last part here, I believe, is the key in that it uses humanities thinking applied to the digital. So even though there's still digital text being used, there's still very much a humanistic analysis and question being answered. So essentially, DH is more than simply scanning books and objects, but is the analysis and visualization of these objects in order to serve a direct purpose. So this purpose can include both posing and answering greater questions about literature, history, and society. So now that we have a general idea of what the digital humanities are, let's take a look at some of the methods used. So a foundational method in DH is text analysis. So instead of the classic approach of close reading, text analysis includes what has been coined as distant reading. So analyzing the text and coming to conclusions via computational methods instead of simply the individual act of reading. Another method is spatial humanities, using GIS or other mapping software to shape narratives and answer humanistic questions. It's a different form of visualization than simply writing text about a subject to illustrate a point. So these methods may seem a little scary if you aren't familiar. It may appear that a strong foundation of technical skills are needed to try out these methods and do digital humanities related work. But do not fear. Humanists have a long-standing history of being a little intimidated by technology. And to contend with this issue, research centers have developed really easy to use web tools that provide an introduction to some of the core methods in the digital humanities. This will effectively allow us to dip our toes into the field without a great deal of background work needing to be done. So today I'm going to be going over 3 of these easy to use tools. So the first tool is called StoryMap.js. It's a free narrative mapping tool created by researchers at the Knight Lab Center at Northwestern University. StoryMap allows you to tie place to narrative in a really unique way. It's interactive, open source, and free, and easy to use, so there's no coding or heavy background technology skills that are needed. However, if you do have some of those background skills, there are some options for customization in terms of aesthetics and features. And so here I have a GIF of a story map in action. Also from Knight Lab is Timeline.js. It's a free tool which allows you to create interactive timelines. This is especially helpful for those who are chronology, so looking at you history folks, where chronology is important. Like StoryMap, Timeline is free, really easy to use, and no coding or heavy tech skills are needed, but again, it has that option for customization. Last is a tool called Voyant. It's incredibly easy, and it's an out-of-the-box web tool for text analysis. Essentially, all you need to do is to have your corpus, so your text, available via a web link. You just input the link, press a button, and Voyant does all the work for you in terms of visualizing your text. So this includes word counts, interactions, and other factors. Like the other tools I mentioned, it's free and web-based, and it's a great first step into text analysis without having to undertake a great deal of training. Basically, it allows you to see the possibilities of text analysis before you jump right in. So thus far, I've discussed tools, but for these tools, you need content, material to work with, to analyze and visualize. While you may already be working on a project that can be adapted to be used by one of these tools, another option is to use content from open online libraries and archives. In your work, you've probably already encountered at least one open online library, such as archive.org or the Internet Archive, HathiTrust, or Project Gutenberg. These libraries include scan or born digital resources that are in the public domain, which means they're free of copyright restrictions. These resources are an excellent choice for playing around and working with DH tools, as limitations of copyright will not be an issue. Perhaps the most notable open online library is archive.org, or the Internet Archive. Archive.org contains millions of open resources, including scanned texts from the largest university libraries and special collections around the world. So here I have a screenshot of the collection view, which allows you to see the different institutions that have content on archive.org. Here we see the University of Toronto and University of Alberta. So even though you're either faculty or a student here at UNBC, you are permitted to other collections from other institutions via sites like this, like archive.org. which allows you to see it quickly at a glance instead of having to go to each institutional website. So this is particularly helpful in times where travel isn't really an option, but also travel isn't always an option, even in pre-COVID times. So it can be helpful to use these digitized resources whenever. So from archive.org, we can see a great variety of different types of resources. Here I've illustrated a vintage cinema magazine, but also they have high quality digitizations of medieval manuscripts. So if you're new to the idea of the digital humanities, often the best way to get acquainted with what DH is to explore projects and see what others have done before. So here I have a list of various projects that can inspire and provide insight into what is possible for work in the digital humanities. So here I have some geographic and subject-specific resources that are great places to start. Now Sarah is going to discuss archives and special collections specifically at UNBC. So I'll stop sharing here.
Thank you, Annalise. So I will be going over how to access the Northern BC Archives and Special Collections open and digital collections, some of which may be reviewed to many of you, but I will also outline our distance services made available while the archives remain physically closed during the pandemic. Here are the various ways to access or search our collections from the library homepage. The Archives tab along the top will take you to our website. The Archives tab in the search box will allow you to search our database directly, and the link to the Northern BC digital collections will take you to that database. Despite these various access points, I want to remind you that all our archival and special collections materials are discoverable in the general search as well. So I'm going to go to our website. I want to start to review the materials that the Northern BC Archives and Special Collections collects. In the archives, we collect, preserve, and make available records relating to the history and culture of Northern BC and the institutional history of UNBC. These include original documents, photographs, maps, architectural plans, technical drawings, sound recordings, films and video, pamphlets, reports, postcards, data, art, and some objects. In special collections, we collect publications such as privately published local books, local newsletters and magazines, and publications on the history or culture of Northern BC communities. Our geographical focus is north up to and including the BC border with Yukon Territory, south up to and including the Cariboo-Chilcotin, east up to and including the BC border with Alberta, and west up to and including Haida Gwaii. So I'm going to go to the Archives by Subject tab. Archives are not organized by subject like libraries, but are organized by record creators in a type of collection we call fond to preserve the context of the records. Occasionally, we will organize materials by format, such as a collection of maps or photographs, as a record's format will influence how and where we store it. This organization makes materials easier for us to find, but not necessarily for you. And to help you with this, we have created a number of subject and topic guides to provide an overview of our materials by general subject. So I'm going to click on one of these as an example. Most of our guides will include an overview of related digitized materials and often describe the extent to which these collections have been digitized. For the most part, only parts of a collection or font have been digitized, such as the photos. Rarely will we have almost the entirety of a collection or fond digitized, such as the Eliza Lake Research Forest records. So there's this rotating gallery, and you can see that it says here the entirety of the Eliza Lake Research Forest fond has been digitized, and it goes into details about what that means. To get back to our homepage, click on this little arrow. And I'm going to go to our Resources tab. So we have compiled digital resources that we don't necessarily collect, but that our users often find useful, such as this list of digitized historical BC newspapers. This list is not exhaustive, so if you know of others that are not listed here, please let us know. Sadly, archives cannot digitize everything due to funding and time constraints, but also copyright and privacy legislation. But I will show you how to search the materials that we have made digitally available. So you can do this by either typing in keywords into this search box or clicking on Search the Archives. So here is our archives database where you can search for just the archival holdings. The special collections titles are not included but can be found through the general or catalog search on the library homepage. This video provides detailed instructions on searching the database, so I will not be going over that here, but I will just show you a few tricks to narrow your search results to digital objects only. So if we do a simple search for dogs, this has given us 233 results, 220 of which have digital objects. And if we select Show Results with Digital Objects, that will narrow our search to only the materials that have been digitized. We can also do this in the advanced search option by selecting yes under digital object available, and if we want to see something in or materials that are in a specific format, we can select media type, in this case text or image, or we can select a category under general material designation. So for photographs, we can click on graphic material. So if we find something that you're interested in and want to find out more about it, just click on it and you can find out more information about the object in the scope and content, and find out the date, the original format of the photograph, etc. You can also navigate in this side navigation or clicking on the breadcrumbs up top. So if we wanted to see more from this album, you can click on that and click on Show All, and this will provide us with all the digital objects from that specific album or file, series, collection, what have you. This type of database is called ATOM for access to memory and is used by many other archives around the world. So by learning how to use ours, you will become more familiar with others who use this archive-specific database. So I'm going to go to the Northern BC Digital Collection. The easiest way to access this is from the banner on the library homepage. This database only has open digital collections from both the archives and special collections. Again, there is a video here at the bottom detailing search tips, so I will be brief. What I find cool about this tool is you can browse by region by selecting one of these regions on the map, or browse by type by selecting books, maps and plans, or serial publications along the side. You can also search by keyword in the search box. So if we wanted to find materials on Prince George, we could browse the Fraser Fort George region. and browse the materials that are available. So for example, here is a map of Fort George. We can zoom in using the scroll option to see a detailed view of the map. There are other view options along the top here, and you can find out more about the map by scrolling down and viewing the metadata. We have a very small portion of our holdings digitally available, so during the continued social distancing measures, we will be providing free digitization on-demand services within reason. We are happy to digitize a few files for your needs, but cannot digitize much more than that, as digitization takes a long time. Email us with any request, even if it is a large request, and we will work with you to ensure you get the information you need. We will also loan out special collections materials on a case-by-case basis. For example, if you want to read more parts of a book than copyright limitations will allow, then we may be able to loan you the book. We cannot do this with all special collections, such as those books that are very fragile or rare, but again, email us and we will work with you to get you the information you need. Contacting us through email is always the best way to access our services, regardless of whether there is a global pandemic or not. Archival queries often take more time for us to work on than is typical for library queries, as we need to assess privacy restrictions, special format considerations, etc. If you don't hear back from us in a couple of business days, please email us again. Sometimes things fall through the cracks, but we really want to help you. Thank you.